Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about a film that I've received a few requests to discuss, and that is this film, Shoah, from the Criterion Collection. Here's the front and here's the back of the film. And I'm going to open up this package and then talk about my viewing experience. Before I do though, I'll just read a few of the supplements here. There's a new restored 4K digital transfer. This film, by the way, is from 1985. It's over 9 hours long, and it is spine number 663. It does have 3 additional films by the director, Claude Lanzmann, which I have not seen, by the way, and I'll talk about that in just a few moments. There's a new conversation between Lanzmann and critic Sergei Tobiana, an interview with Lanzmann from 2003 from a visitor from The Living and Sobibor. There's a new interview with Caroline Champetier, assistant camera person on Shoah, and filmmaker Arnaud Desplechin. Again, I may be mispronouncing those names, but there's a trailer. There's also a booklet in here too. Here is it's a very iconic scene from the movie, and here's the back of the case, as I just removed it from. There's a booklet in here as well. Very nice booklet. And also some screenshots from the movie in the beginning of this, which is interesting. The Criterion Collection divides the disc into first era part 1 and 2 and second era part 1 and 2, and then there's a supplemental disc. And again, I'll show the disc in a moment here. There's also an essay in the booklet as well. As far as the discs go, there are 3, as I mentioned. I'm just going to hold this up real quick so you can see the inside of the release. So there's a main disc here, which is first era part 1 and part 2, second era part 1 and part 2, and then the supplemental disc. I'd like to also mention too, before I talk about my viewing experience, that if you are triggered by any sort of trauma, this is probably not the film for you, or you want to watch it in smaller segments. For me, I think the Criterion Collection does a great job in recommending ways to watch. As I mentioned before, this was a 9-hour film from 1985. I believe I remember when it came out in 1985 and in the theater, and there was a break in the middle of the film, probably halfway through the film there was a break as I remember it. I did not see it in the theater when it came out, but I've wanted to see this film for so long, and I knew that it was going to be a bit of a challenge to watch. The Criterion Collection does a great job of dividing this up, as I mentioned before, into parts. So you can basically watch this in 2-hour segments or 2.5-hour segments, which is very helpful in order to process the movie. For me, it was a very emotional experience, I think, it deals with the Holocaust. I guess I didn't mention that in the beginning, but there is no archival footage. This is all survival interviews and scenes of the concentration camps as they existed in 1985. Again, for me, I think there is graphic descriptions of what happened during the Holocaust. So again, if you're triggered by that, probably not the film for you. And I think that was the thing that was most shocking for me, is some of the descriptions. Again, in the US, we learn different things about history, including the Holocaust, but we don't really get to this level of detail. So again, I knew this was going to be a very dramatic and emotional watch for me, which it was. And I think the most, there were quite a few just very shocking descriptions of things, and the brutality and the mechanism of the Holocaust itself, I think, was particularly shocking for me. But I highly recommend this film. I feel like it's a historical artifact that should be viewed, must be viewed if you can. But be prepared for a very emotional journey, which I'm glad I did. And again, when I watched the film, I did watch it for the most part in the way that Criterion has curated the movie, and I would watch a part for a couple of hours, and it would go back to the main menu so that I could, the next time I put in the disc, I would look at the next chapter or the next part of the movie. On the second disc, I will say that I only watched in about 1 hour segments. Again, just to process the film, there's a lot of descriptions that you really want to take the time to process, especially with a subject matter of this magnitude and this level of emotion, I suppose. But I highly recommend watching the movie. So if you get a chance, Shoah, I would put on your list to view. This edition I picked up during the Criterion Collection 50% off sale, and I think it was around $60, which is a great price for the set. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, click on like. If you have any comments, let me know if you've seen this film or have any interest in seeing the movie. And I love all the comments and questions, so feel free to leave those down below as well. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And I sincerely hope that everyone is safe and well, and I'll talk to you soon.